I have tried a lot of ways to get better at mountain biking. In fact, I think I've tried all of them. So let's talk about what works and what doesn't, or at least what's worked for me. I think there are essentially 5 ways you can learn mountain biking skills. All of them work, but you can put them into a list and they get more efficient the higher up you go. Number 1, trial and error doesn't really merit much discussion. We all learn by doing, so this is going to be part of learning any mountain biking skill. But obviously, if it's your only source of learning, your progress is going to be pretty slow unless you've got a lot of natural talent. Number 2, watching videos of others can be helpful. You can find some genuinely great tips on YouTube. However, one issue with this approach is that in the mountain of how to bunny hop videos, you'll find a lot of conflicting advice. To avoid getting overwhelmed, I think it helps to pick a few sources of truth, channels where the people definitely know what they're talking about and the explanations make sense to you. For me, Kyle Warner's channel is kind of hard to beat for that. That said, knowing and doing are 2 different things, and translating what you learn from the video into action on the bike is difficult. I often feel like I'm doing what the YouTube video told me to, until I see some video of myself that proves otherwise. Which leads me to number 3, watching videos of yourself. If you know what you're supposed to be doing, recording yourself riding and then watching the footage back, ideally in slow-mo, can help you identify your own weaknesses. One downside to this is that you have to know enough to be able to accurately self-diagnose your mistakes. That isn't always as easy as it sounds. Another downside is that it can be kind of a pain to do without help, logistically. It's really much easier to do if you've got a friend who can work the camera and get the footage queued up for you, but friends who want to spend their afternoons doing that aren't easy to find. Number 4 is kind of a variation on that, where you shoot videos of yourself and then upload them for critique from a coach online. The only service that I've tried like this is Leech Connection, but I think there are others. And this definitely works for some people, but it really didn't work for me. One reason is that it's an even bigger hassle to actually do it. Record yourself, offload the file, edit the file, upload the file. Another reason is that there's too much of a delay between the practice and the feedback, which makes progression slow. If you're doing something wrong in a practice session, you're probably not going to find out until at least a few hours later. A third reason is more specific to the Leech Connection specifically, and also more personal. I'm sure that breaking skills down into a long list of micro lessons works well for some people. But for me, it was really deflating and demotivating to see that there were so many videos between me and my goal. Now, breaking big skills down into bite-sized chunks is a proven educational technique, and I'm not knocking that approach. But something about that, in combination with the hassle of uploading videos and getting that delayed feedback, just made it feel like there was a ton of work between me and my goal, and not all of it was work on the bike. That brings us to number 5, in-person coaching. I've done a fair amount of this now, including a few different clinics, as well as private lessons with Brian Dans of Portland Gear Hub and Ninja Mountain Bike Performance, which is who you're seeing in some of this footage. This can be the most expensive of our 5 learning methods, at least on paper. But it's also hands down the most efficient, so if you place any value on your own time, I think in-person coaching is the smartest investment you can make. The reason in-person coaching is so effective is that it's personalized and it's immediate. In one session with Brian, I can practice 100 jumps and get 100 bits of good feedback on what I'm doing wrong or right as I progress from jump to jump. Every time I've gotten in-person coaching, I've come away feeling like I made real progress in the session, but more importantly, I've also come away with enough feedback that I feel like I know what I need to work on and what I need to watch out for when I'm practicing on my own. That means the faster progress continues even beyond the end of the lesson. So yeah, I know it's not exactly a new idea or a revelation, but there are a lot of newer riders out there, so I thought it was worth emphasizing. In-person coaching is the single best investment you can make in your mountain biking. Because it really doesn't matter what bike you have or what parts it has, becoming a better rider is going to make every bike more fun. And yeah, there are lots of ways to improve, but I don't think anything else comes close to the bang for your buck of in-person coaching, especially when you factor in how much more of your time the other approaches on this list require. And as a side note, riding with friends who are going to challenge you and push you to get better, I would consider that a kind of in-person coaching too. Unless you're friends with an actual mountain biking coach, I think it's probably still valuable to get real coaching too, but it still is really valuable to have other people there who can watch you ride and tell you, hey, you're not doing this thing that you think you're doing, or you are doing this thing and you just need to commit a little bit more. Long story short, I really think it's that in-person feedback that helps you progress quickly. Getting that from a professional mountain biking coach who knows what they're talking about is the best and most efficient way to learn. Riding with friends is another way of kind of getting that same thing, at least if your friends have some idea of what they're talking about. We'll assume that they do. Anyway, that's my sermon. If you're looking for a mountain biking coach in Maine, hit up Brian's Portland Gear Hub clinics or his clinics and lessons through Ninja Mountain Bike Performance. And I've done some clinics up at Mount Abram that were pretty cool too. Until next time, I hope you get a chance to get outside and ride, and I'll see you next week.